She had every reason to turn away from the world, and yet, somehow, her heart remained open. Long before she became a quiet symbol of hope, Princessa was simply a frightened mother-to-be trying to make it through one more day. Princessa was an adult cat rescued from a colony living under constant threat. Life on the streets had offered her little mercy. Every day brought new dangers. Every night brought fresh uncertainty. By the time rescuers finally reached her, the toll of that life was written all over her body. She was thin, deeply exhausted, and visibly pregnant. The kittens she carried were growing, but she herself had almost nothing left to give. When the rescuers approached, Princessa didn't run, but she didn't trust them either. She held herself tense and still, every muscle coiled, ready to flee at the smallest sound. Her eyes were watchful, guarded, full of the kind of wariness that only comes from surviving things no creature should have to endure. And yet even then, even in that moment of raw fear, there was something about her that made the rescuers pause. Beneath all the exhaustion, beneath all the caution, there was a quiet steadiness, a small stubborn flame that the streets had never quite managed to extinguish. Being brought into the shelter was, in its own way, another overwhelming experience. Safety is not something a frightened animal understands immediately. The sounds were unfamiliar, the smells were strange. The gentle voices of the caregivers, though warm and patient, must have seemed like just another unknown thing to navigate. For a long time, Princessa kept to herself. She observed everything from a careful distance, processing this new world on her own terms, in her own time. Then came the moment that would mark a turning point in her story. After a thorough veterinary evaluation, Princessa gave birth to 5 healthy kittens. It was a moment of profound tenderness for her and for everyone lucky enough to witness it. After everything she had survived, after every hardship the streets had thrown at her, she was finally able to bring her babies into the world in warmth and safety, rather than fear and danger. For the rescue team, it was one of those rare moments that reminds you exactly why the work matters. What followed revealed something extraordinary about Princessa's character. Despite being physically depleted, she threw herself into motherhood with a devotion that left everyone who saw it deeply moved. She nursed her kittens almost without pause. She cleaned them meticulously, tucked them close, and rarely allowed herself to be more than a breath away from them. There were moments when exhaustion overtook her mid-feed and she drifted into sleep, still curled around her babies. The caregivers made sure food was placed right beside her, so she would never have to choose between eating and staying near her kittens. Even when her body cried out for rest, her presence never wavered. Slowly, steadily, she began to heal. The regular meals filled out her thin frame. The warmth and quiet of the shelter allowed her a kind of rest she had perhaps never truly known before. The relentless vigilance that had once consumed her every waking moment started gradually to ease. She ate more. She slept more deeply. The tension in her body softened, and with it, the expression in her eyes began to change. Then came a moment that no one in the shelter would soon forget. A slightly older orphaned kitten named Pachoka found his way into the nursery. He was alone and small and lost. Many cats in Princessa's position, exhausted, still recovering, fully occupied with 5 kittens of their own, would have turned him away. Princessa did nothing of the sort. She looked at him and she simply made room. She groomed him just as she groomed her own. She let him nurse alongside them. She wrapped him into her family as though he had always belonged there. Without fanfare, without hesitation, The frightened street cat, who had once struggled just to keep herself alive, had become a mother to 6. It was almost impossible to look at that and not feel something shift inside you. How does a heart that has known so much suffering still find that kind of generosity? How does an animal that had every reason to close herself off remain so willing to give? As the weeks continued to pass, the transformation in Princesa became undeniable. The wariness that had once clouded her face gave way to something softer, something calmer. She began to welcome the gentle hands of her caregivers. She accepted affection, leaned into it, and on some days even seemed to seek it out. The rescue team saw in her something they had been quietly hoping for from the very beginning, not just physical recovery, but something deeper, a genuine sense of peace, the kind that settles into the eyes and the body and the way a creature moves through the world. Today, Princesa lives surrounded by warmth, safety, and the quiet certainty that she is loved. Hunger and danger and loneliness belong to another chapter of her life now, one that is well and truly behind her. She is cherished by people who understand the full weight of what she endured and who are humbled by the grace with which she endured it. Hers is a story about survival, yes, but more than that, it is a story about what remains in a heart after everything else has been stripped away. If Princesa's journey has touched you, please leave a comment, share this video, and subscribe to help us continue telling stories like hers. Together, we can make sure that more forgotten animals find the safety, the love, and the new beginning they have always deserved.